The Roaring Twenties received its name in part because of the economic prosperity during the decade of 1920. Soon after the war had ended, America was the wealthiest nation in the world. The economy thrived and created a lively culture all around. The strength of America was derived from this vast economic power. Mass consumption and mass production made it so appliances and luxuries were more affordable, which in turn would allow for more people to buy them. It was important that the companies matched the consumers' needs. This then led to the biggest economic boom this nation has ever seen and led people to believe in the American dream. This boom caused a significant increase in the everyday worker's income. From 1920 to 1930, it rose from $1,250 to over $1,600. It was a phenomenal era for the working class, and they realized their newfound potential. As some worked, others went the get-rich-quick route in the stock market. Speculators bought shares in hopes that they'd make quick money. People did not realize that buying a share was a gamble and they could potentially lose all their money. Another business philosophy was the installment plan, also known as credit. It was a buy now, pay later type deal. However, it gave false ownership to the buyer. Credit was a false pretense of their economic growth, which would eventually catch up to them. The American dream played a role alongside every part of the 1920s and especially the economy. It caused the boom as well as the downfall. The American dream gives people hope that fuels their desire to prosper. However, once achieving this dream, they find themselves enjoying it a little too much, which in turn caused the Great Depression starting at the last year of the Roaring Twenties.
The 1920s was a time when the American dream had come true to women. On August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution granted women the right to vote. This was the greatest thing that had happened in American history, as so many women before them had for a long time dreamed for that day to come. By voting, women felt important to the country and opened many doors for them. It gave them the opportunity to attend and graduate college, own property, and hold jobs. It brought total new changes to everything and everyone. A brand new change was woman fashion. Women who were independent and lived with bold self-indulgence was considered a flapper. Flappers usually smoked in public, wore heavy makeup, they bobbed their hair, flattened their breasts, and wore skirts revealing more leg than women 10 or 20 years ago ever did. Before 1920s, women participated in a very minimum amount of sports, about only 3. But during the 1920, 1924, and 1928 Olympics, they competed in several sports. Throughout the decade, women showed men that they can achieve the American dream, and by competing in sports that once belonged to only men was a brand new change. Many went into jobs that women were not allowed to do, such as politics. But in the 1920s, everything changed. Women could now lead decisions that could affect America. One was Judge Florence E. Allen, who was the first woman to be elected to a state Supreme Court, and several women followed. U.S. House Representatives and many other women reached their American dream by accomplishing a dream that so many extraordinary women before had wanted for so many years.
During the 1920s, many immigrants were coming to America for many reasons. The world had just got out of World War I, and most of the world was in economic disaster. The United States was one of the countries in the world that was not impacted greatly by the war. Many immigrants saw America as a land of opportunity, so many left to America. Some left their homeland because of work, others left due to wanting to practice their rights. Some of these rights were the freedom of religion and speech. Once they got to America, they were able to be free. The ones that left for work worked in factories. They would work 6 to 14 hours a day. Sometimes everyone in the family worked, even the children. They knew that after all this work, it would pay off. Eventually, the hard work did pay off, and some of them were able to become part of the middle class. some immigrants got even more successful, such as Al Capone. He came from an immigrant family. He eventually got involved with gangs and a life of crime. After many years, Capone would become a successful crime boss. He would use prohibition to his advantage and own speakeasies and sell alcohol illegally. Eventually, he was shut down by the law. The American dream to the immigrants was many things. Some it was to practice their rights, others it was to earn an honest living and to have a nice job, and for some it was to become big and successful. Whatever their dream was, it was the American dream. Alright.
As said by Plato, music gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Music was important in the 1920s because it influenced all the factors of society. Jazz was an up-and-coming popular music genre that gave the name Jazz Age. Music of the 1920s was a new breed. It began as a decade with exploding income and social change, hot jazz and funky dance. Music and dancing was important because it became a part of the culture. The true spirit of jazz changed the life of people. It was a joyous revolt from the convention, custom, authority, boredom, and even sorrow from everything that would confine the soul of the man. There were many up-and-coming musicians such as King Oliver, Louis Armstrong, Kid Ory, and Duke Ellington, who defined the future of jazz. The beat of jazz reflected the society's bursting and exuberant personality, with high energy and endless nights. The 1920s was the first decade to broadcast music over the radio. Not only that, but it acted as a safe zone for blacks and whites. In spite of this pattern of musical expropriation and racial exclusion within the radio industry, however, some African Americans did manage to get on the air during the Jazz Age. All in all, music was an important part of the 1920s. Jazz music started a social change in style, dance, and writing.
We're all alone, no chaperone can get our number. The world's in slumber, let's misbehave. There's something wild about you, child, that's so contagious. Let's be outrageous, let's misbehave. When Adam won Eve's hand, he wouldn't stand for treason. He didn't care about those